Russian blues.
Okay.
More than
Top Caleb? No.
No.
Yes.
Anyway. Oh, no.
Oh, that's
No! Anyway, you hold Frumpkin beyond the dome.
Kill us now, now, God.
Please. It's the only way you can go now. But you didn't believe me. Keeping an eye out there. Frumpkin kind of shivers in your grasp. Looking around, left to right. No sign of anything dangerous in the peripheral. Uneventful evening. Eventually, as the light begins to come to, it is not the clear sunrise you've met a few times out here. It is a light snow and a gray sky above. But nevertheless, the day does warm to a degree, and eventually, after pushing off some of the snow and the dome coming down and dropping the rest of it around you in this kind of soft pile of fresh powder, you can glance over and can see the flames have kicked up over where the tomb takers are as they themselves are preparing themselves for the day, having a meal, and glancing over to notice you're being awake as well. What would you like to do?
For my long rest. Oh, yes, thank you.
Do that.
we lose our exhaustion point. Had we already lost?
I think you'd already lost that.
Okay.
Get everything else back.
I don't know that I can use that armor, guys. I mean, if I do, I will sacrifice some stealth capability. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Who else has low AC? I'm 17.
Oh,
Well, but I thought you had special armor.
Mariner's armor which is not applicable.
not the armor of Agatha Christie?
That's not special. Oh, well, yeah, Ford could wear it then. That's pretty low.
Anybody else have low AC?
I can't wear leather.
You can't wear leather?
That's
I'm a
unfortunate.
monk.
Leather would
I
look
feel
good
like-
on you.
I use my abs as my armor.
Okay. What about pleather? You wear pleather?
On Saturday nights.
I'll take it. Nobody else? Really? No.
I could use it, but I would have to
Give them stealthy stuff.
give up this dagger.
Oh,
Is that a
And I
problem?
won't do that. Anyway, let's go have a day.
Did we notice a crazy look in Beth's eye when she said it?
You can make an insight check.
Okay.
Genuinely no different than the normal crazy.
You're not wrong.
No, a little bit of knot in there.
Oh, nope, natural one.
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
Seems.
Yeah, nobody else wants it. You can take it.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll put it on. I won't add to it. Just
Alright. As you guys are gathering your things and getting your meals situated,
Armor +2.
you notice Lucian begins to approach as they kind of finish the fire on the other camp. Steps up, heavy coat on, looks like he's all smiles this morning. Before we finish breakfast, since we had a bit of a conversation the other day, sure, I'd be curious. Pulls in the cloak and pulls out what you see to be the collection of papers and haphazard binding on the tome that you saw taken from the interior of Vestaraga's chambers.
Yeah, that book.
Kind of looking over to kind of holding it out. I assume someone wants to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
He's the one that understands that sort of stuff.
I certainly don't.
Okay.
Scooch over to Caleb.
Come have a seat.
Okay, so the two of you. Okay.
I roll up a white piece of leather so it doesn't get snow on it, and I set it down and
Distance.
thank you. Reach into my components and I pull out a black pearl. No. Pull out a white pearl. And I will cast Fortune's Favor on myself in little geometric shapes.
I'm gonna
Spiral out.
grab his shoulders and give him a little back rub and say, "You can do this, Caleb. You got this. Guide that hands."
Okay. Okay.
Was there some specific request? Or is it just a general knowledge?
I think it's gonna be like
Well,
seeing what he can decipher.
Yeah.
For one thing,
Spend some time.
the script, as you glance at it, it makes no sense to you.
Oh, that's easy.
What languages do you both? Actually, what languages do you both know?
Hang on.
Well,
I think it's more up to date on my.
I'm going to cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay.
And I also have that fancy monk.
Read everything.
Yeah, read the monk ability.
Read all.
Features and traits. Hang on. Hold. Keep going.
Hang on, but keep going.
Tongue of the sun and moon, you can understand all spoken languages.
Correct.
And any
Spoke.
creature that can understand a language can understand
So it's
can.
speaking but not reading.
And then my languages are common, deep speech, dwarvish, halfling, undercommon.
You can read it. It's undercommon.
Huh?
I said it's written in Guar.
Yeah.
You cast Comprehend Languages. It's undercommon, which you can read. You picked this up because of your training with the Cobalt Soul.
Is it like you can't?
It's written as a cipher, meaning the language is not a common language of the writer, and it is, the way it's written is different from most undercommon speakers' instinction. So you gather quickly that this is intended as a cipher. Now the contents begin abruptly, like the early pages are no longer part of it. They read like brief passages about historical musings, piecing together elements of Eor's history. Mental notes over breakfast by a confounded arcanist. Questions they posit to themselves about where it might lie, what secrets made it so dangerous to call the ire of the gods down upon it at the height of the calamity. Details of odd recovered relics from around the frigid depths surrounding Isocross, and the theories that they have that elements of Eor might actually be found there. Half-finished sketches follow that of assumed Eorian architecture. Discussions of the convocation of Eor, the committee of mages that governed the ancient city, pontificating about their politics, whether they were indeed a unified people, as some archivists suggest. The notes then continue, like a travelogue, making themselves the briefest of entries regarding their journey northward. So not unlike the Nine's own journey through here, it discusses the harshness of the environment, the dangers that beset them. There's no mention of Balin Post and no other societal handholds up here in the north, really. It's just desolate, uncharted tundra. And honestly, deadly mystery. There are numerous gripes about magic being unpredictable up in this space at numerous times, and odd creatures that had to be avoided on this journey. Very much kind of gives you the sense of like an early explorer first coming to uncharted land. Eventually, the entries begin to speak of a massive anomaly that they came across, a patch of frost that's miles long. It piques his curiosity. More entries beyond that briefly note his entrance to a subterranean labyrinth of corridors and structures. Sketches of door reliefs and archways and long dead bodies left frozen. One perfunctory entry speaks of an uncovered text hurriedly scrawled before the death of its writer. It reads, "The philosophers abandoned us. The cursed, plotting dreamers took their whole ward with them. Curse them. May they rot in." And it ended there.
May they rot in.
And ended there. The following entries muse out the meaning of this statement, slowly exploring more of the ruin and trying to piece together their goings-on. Even further entries still speak of the sounds that worry the mage. Things are living down in these halls, he says. He notes his need for caution. Eventually, an entry speaks of finding information about some of the Aeorian wards. The Parasides ward, the Ars ward. Ars, A-R-S. P-R-A-E-S-I-D-I-S ward.
Parasides. Ars ward.
Ars ward. And in particular, the Cognosa ward. A region organized by 9 philosophers who are dedicated to the ideas of manifestation through dream and imagination with the conduit of arcana. Increasingly obsessed with the astral plane and many of its denizens being able to forge matter from sheer will and idea alone, they were rumored to be plotting a secession from the convocation to abscond from the city to their beloved plane of dreams in ash, as it said in some of the notes of other Aeorian denizens that seem to be speaking down on these philosophers. The next entry seems to tremble with excitement and discovery, as the mage intends to project himself into the astral plane and seek out any survivors who, based on his findings, may have escaped. Then, the book changes dramatically. The following pages are filled, top to bottom page, with nonsense, deep scratches of ink, shapes and symbols that make no sense, just hash marks and scratches and designs that overlap and twist. It is just a mess of designs and nothing. They have no purpose or reason to them. There's no language. There's hints of text, but it's not. And your spell can't focus. It's not able to make out any language at all, because it's not language. It's filled with nightmarish design and incredibly detailed patterns that catch your eye on a smaller and smaller scale. These fractals that almost draw you in. That you catch yourself leaning into the pages a bit, and then kind of pull back for a moment and blink. And for a second, you catch yourself wondering, like, how much time has passed? How long have you been looking at that page? Just at that point, Lucian closes the book and goes, I think it's enough reading for now. So,